Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here amongst you beautiful people. As you have heard, I'm from Nigeria, from the northeast of Nigeria, and I do media for development. Now, why do I do media for development? I come from the northeast of Nigeria, and it's not easy to see women like me out there. 2 years ago, it wouldn't even have been possible for me to come to the Netherlands to speak to all of you because I come from a very conservative society. It's a largely conservative society in northeastern Nigeria, and women are really, really well protected, and they don't always get to have their say. But because I have really supportive parents, I was able to, go through school and to be able to talk about my own experiences and to even work in the media. And so because of that, I also decided that it's time that I also give opportunity to other women like me to also have a platform to talk about their own needs, because everybody has needs. One of the reasons why I do what I do is because coming from a conservative society from northeast Nigeria, I know what it means to not be able to talk, to not to have a say, to not be able to put yourself out there. When I first started working a couple of years ago, I worked with an organization called MIND, Media Information for Narrative Development. The program director is somewhere here. She gave me my very first opportunity to actually be heard. And then we work on this particular project. It's a gender and media project in urban poor communities in the FCT. Urban poor communities exist in Abuja. They are very, very poor. They don't have access to even the most basic facilities. So we wanted to go to these communities to find out what their needs are, and then to find a way to use media to make sure that their needs are met. So one of the communities we worked in is called Basenjiwa. It's very close to the airport, the airport of Abuja, an international airport in Nigeria. When we first went to this community, we're very strategic that we wanted to target women. But even when we went to the community, despite the fact that we told them that, this is a women's project, we want to hear from the women, the first meeting we had in the community was just men. It was just men, the chief. And then, this is the status quo in Nigeria. Everywhere you go to, you want to talk to people, you meet the men first. So the women rarely get heard. And then when we insisted that, this is a women's program, so we want to hear from the women, they brought in one woman and they said, this is the woman leader. And she was just sitting at the corner, like very timid. She didn't even say anything throughout the meeting. So we ensured that, for that screening, we would mobilize at least 70% women, so that we get to hear from the women. So what we do as part of this project is we show films. We go with our big screens and our speakers, and then we show films in this community about films that normally they would not have access to, about people having similar problems as them. And then we engage them in a talk. We talk to them. We find out, what do you identify from this film that you have watched? Is it something similar to what's happening in your community? What are your needs? And, this takes time. We go over and over a long time before people are comfortable enough, because women are not used to talking, right? They are used to their fathers, their brothers, their husbands speaking for them. So when we had the first screening, I met this young lady. She's married with children. Her name is Amina. She lives in the community. She was really shy at first. She didn't want to talk, but then, with prompting, and because she saw women like her in other parts of Nigeria going through the same problems that she is going through, she began to speak. She began to talk. She told us about their problems in the community. They did not have access to primary health care. Their primary health care was so poor that if you go to the primary health care facility, you would have to pay for water there's this cat that they sell water in jerry cans. So you have to pay for the water before you are treated in that community. They don't have drugs. So if you go into labor in the middle of the night, you're on your own because, nobody is going to be there to be treated, to treat you. Their water is so dirty, and they don't have potable drinking water. They fetch water from the stream. It's so muddy. And then they are very close to the airport, right in the city capital. But then nobody knows what these people are going through. So with the media that we went to the community and engaging Amina and women like her, they started to open up. They started to talk to the newspapers. They started to talk to the radio. They started to talk to people. And because of that, their community, their problems were heard. People started hearing about this community, and this is what they are going through the media. The media is very powerful. Then we formed committees, and then we made sure that these people went to their local governments and spoke to their local government, because it is their responsibility to provide them with basic amenities. Amina Zakari was at the forefront. This is the woman that, a couple of months ago, she couldn't even say A in public. Now, she met with her local government chairman, and she told him, this and this and this is what we are facing in our community. Now, I was at the House of Parliament in Netherlands just yesterday, and it was lovely. We got to meet with a parliament member. It was so easy. It's not that easy in Nigeria. You don't see your government. It's not something you just do. You have to make appointments, and even at that, you can spend years trying to talk to your local government chairman, and you won't be able to see anybody. And so we pushed and we made sure that this woman got to talk to her local government chairman. Even he was surprised. So she spoke to him passionately. We need water in our community. We need this in our community. And then with the help of the media tools generated as part of the project, so there were newspaper articles indicating the problems in this community. There were film showing how many hours women spend fetching water, in this community. So because of that, and because of the power of the media, these people's human rights, basic human rights of access to facilities, things we take for granted in other parts of the world, these people were able to get a borehole in their community, thanks to the women who were largely unheard of. So because of that, I decided that, okay, the media is very useful, and then women should also be involved. We should involve people because they wear the shoes, they know where it pinches. So I started working in the northeast of Nigeria. There's a lot of conflict going on there. People get killed. You hear a lot about it in the news. You hear figures, 50 people are dead, 100 people are dead. But then, it goes over your head because it's just statistics, right? People get killed everywhere. You don't really know what it means. And then even if they humanize the conflict, you hear about it from the perspective of men. Women rarely get interviewed because, it's difficult to find them. They're in their homes. They never come out. Even when you want to talk to them, they will say, talk to my husband, talk to my father. But then we made sure that we gave them a platform. We need to hear from them. What are their problems? And then working with other media and through our own media channels as well, we're able to make women's issues, women's voices. We're able to put women's voices to make it an issue. We made a documentary about women just talking about what the conflict means to them, how their lives have changed, what their needs are. And because of that, a lot of things are beginning to happen, a lot of things are beginning to change. Even in Nigeria is very diverse. A lot of people don't even believe that there was conflict in the Northeast. That's how bad it is. Because, you hear 100 people killed, 500 people abducted, and you just don't really understand. But when you see a woman talking about her husband being slaughtered on his way back from work, and what it means for her to raise 8 children, and how, they don't have access to food aid because there's so much overcrowding in the camps, then you begin to appreciate the power of the media and the need to involve people in telling stories about things that affect them. So this is why I do what I do, and I'll continue to be an advocate for participatory media, and I'll continue to provide a platform, because I do think that it is really important that the people are involved in telling their own stories. Thank you.